Hey guys, how's it going? It's Janie over here at Janie Sweets, and in this episode I'm coming at you with a tutorial on how I made this super easy music themed cake. And as a bonus, I'm going to show you how I made this two-toned bow to go on top of it. So if you want to learn how to make it, keep on watching. So to begin, I am rolling out some white fondant that I have kneaded with some CMC or Tylose powder to make it a little stiffer, and that's to make the bow. But if you prefer, you can also use gum paste, and it'll work actually a lot better. So once I've rolled it out, I am going to spray it with, or airbrush it with, some black food coloring. You can of course use whatever color you prefer, and if you don't have an airbrush machine, don't panic. You can always use those edible spray cans. Once you're done, you are going to use a strip cutter to cut out the strips to make the bow. This particular strip cutter I have found on Amazon, and I'm going to link for you guys below the exact link so that you can purchase it if you're interested. And then I'm going to lay out all of my strips next to each other so that I can cut them to size. So what I mean by that is I am going to remove the very top so that I can make it straight, and then I'm going to count, I think it was 5 inches, and then make sure that all of my strips are going to be the same exact size. So to do that, I'm using a ruler, but you can also use whatever object that is straight that you can find. So do the same thing to the other side and cut all of the strips to the 5-inch mark. And then what I'm going to do is point out the very edge. So just, there's no right or wrong way to do it. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be pointy. So just go ahead and remove all of the excess that you do not need, and then you'll be set. Just make sure you do the same thing to the other side, because you want to have 2 pointy sides of to your strip. Now you're going to lay it on its side and then just join the points together, and then you're just going to leave it out to dry overnight if possible, or definitely for a few hours, because you want this to be super hard when you put that on the cake so that you have a better looking bow. Once that's done, I have here an 8-inch cake that I'm going to cover with some white fondant. So I'm just going to use my hands to straighten out the seams and then smooth it out onto the cake. Once that's done, I'm going to remove all of the excess using a pizza wheel, and then I'm going to preserve the rest of my fondant. Now this little tool I found on Amazon, and I will link for you guys below where or the link that you can purchase it at, and it's so easy. You just run it across the top of the cake, and it makes it so much easier for you to achieve a straight edge. Once I was done with that, I have here this template that I'm going to lay across the cake, and I'm just going to use my airbrush machine on super low speed, and I'm going to airbrush the music note all across the cake. Now I'm just eyeballing where it's going to go, but you can definitely mark it out if you want it to be extremely accurate. So once you have placed all of your musical notes all over your cake, I'm just going to dampen the bottom of the cake with just some gum glue. You can also use water or piping gel if you prefer, and that's just to adhere a ribbon to the bottom. Now what I've done is I've used some of that leftover fondant that was airbrushed, and then I'm just going to place that all over the bottom. And then for the top of the cake, I am using some clear piping gel, and I'm going to lay my bow across. Now this is what I mean by let your bow dry completely. I didn't, my bow dried for about 2 to 3 hours, and so it didn't have time to completely get rock hard, and this is why you see it sagging. But if you want your bow to be thicker and fuller and really, really pretty, you definitely want to let it dry, and it'll give you a much better result. So anyway, you just go ahead and continue placing all of your pieces all over the cake with your piping gel, or your clear piping gel to adhere it. You can also use royal icing and it'll adhere the same way. Now, using the leftover fondant, I have cut it into super tiny strips, and I'm just going to roll it around my finger just to give it the illusion of, I guess it's confetti or just ribbon strips all over the top of the cake. And now I have let this dry a little bit too much, and that is why it looks like it's cracking. But if the fondant is soft, it's not going to crack. It's going to roll on your finger super easily. So go ahead and just place that all over your cake, and then once you're done, this is the final result. This is what your cake will turn out to be. I hope you have enjoyed this tutorial and you've learned something new. If you liked it, please give this video a thumbs up and share it with your friends and family. As always, if you check out my last video, you can do so by clicking on this annotation to your left. I am on Instagram as well as on Facebook. All of my socials are at Janie Sweets. Subscribe to the channel so that you do not miss out on any of my other videos. So that is it for this week's tutorial, guys. I love you. I'll talk to you later. Bye.